What's up, boys? Cigarette Tony. Anyway, I wanted to make a video. I got to thinking about this today. You know, we get people on the subreddit all the time asking us why we don't like Joe, why so many of us can't fucking stand Joe. And I figured I ought to attempt to explain that in a video, if you could really call this, or what I do, a video. It's just a guy dicking around, shooting from the hip on OBS. But essentially, I'm going to attempt to do it, and then I want to come back to the Reddit at the end to thank a couple of you. Not a Cranky Panda, thanks for posting my stuff to the Reddit, man. And Vaping Hobbyist, man, thanks for checking out my shit, brother. It's really kind of you. I'm glad you're giving me a shout out, man. It's very flattering. Thank you. Anyway, back to Joe. You know, I wanted to start with this video here. In this video, he talks about why he went to jail, and he goes off into a whole bunch of bullshit, and then we'll go on to the next video. Just basically, to me, this is just a compilation of shit that to me just amounts to what makes this guy such a fucking piece of shit and why I have the opinion of him that I do. Let's just go ahead and begin here.
I know there's a lot of new people here to After Prison Show, and if you don't know, please allow me to explain. I was locked up for 7 years in prison for nonviolent drug offenses from a whole list of charges. A whole list, not a whole list, a whole list of charges stemming from possession with intent to distribute cocaine.
That makes you so much better. All right, come on. Let's get going here.
As well. But I wasn't using the gun for anything violent. Therefore,
at least not yet, you fucking asshole.
But how exactly I got caught is something that I haven't ever talked about here. So allow me to tell you the full story behind how it all went down. And I'm
this is so fucking stupid.
Who arrested me because they were dirty.
Oh, I'm sure they were.
On December 21st, 2008, I was driving a car that I was not supposed to be driving. I had no license at all. It was my girlfriend's car. My girlfriend at the time's car. She was in the passenger seat. My buddy was in the back seat. I was driving this car just after leaving from purchasing cocaine. This cocaine that I purchased was for sale. It wasn't a lot of cocaine. It was 7 grams.
Keep that in mind. He mentioned that this cocaine that he got was for sale. It was not for personal use. This is important. There's a reason why I want to make a point of this. That is very important. We're going to come back to that. Remember that.
But while driving this car that I should have never been driving, I was on the phone at the same time arguing with a guy who owed me $60. Remember that as well. $60. Because we're going to actually come back to this. This man's had a whole odyssey of shit happen to him over the years relating to $60. Yes, it was this argument on this phone over $60 that was going to cost me 7 years of my life. Because while driving a car that I wasn't supposed to be driving with cocaine in my pocket, a gun in my waistband, and on the phone with a guy who owed me $60, I never paid attention to the fact that I was speeding. I know that sounds crazy, but that's where it began. I shot right past 3 cops sitting on the side of the road, and as I shot past them on the phone, I kind of looked and I said, that's 3 cops right there. Hey, dude, let me call you back. And no sooner than I passed them, I looked in the rear view and I saw
flipped the
one
fucking
of them
lights.
Immediately jump right out behind me.
Boom.
And he threw on the blue lights. And when he threw on the blue lights, I did what any person in my situation would do.
Which is put everybody's life at risk by taking off like a fucking asshole. Literally putting everybody on the road at risk, fucking everybody in the car at risk, putting the lives of the officers at risk. Real nice, Joe, you fucking dumb fucker.
No, I did not pull over. Not at all. Not with that cocaine in my pocket, gun in my waistband, and no license on top of that. Not that the license thing even really mattered, considering the severity of everything else in this situation.
Severity.
But as soon as that cop threw on those blue lights, I immediately floored it. And I took off. Flying down the road, there was an on-ramp to an interstate that I needed to get to. I don't know why, I just felt that was where I needed to go. But there was a car in my way. I was in this lane here, and there was a car right here. And the on-ramp was right there. The car was in the way. So I literally had to fly in front of this car, slam on the brakes. I mean, this was almost
so
like some
fucking
Fast and Furious
stupid
stuff.
Like, look at he's fucking loving this. Look at the look in his eyes, man. He's fucking, he still has, like, no real shame over this.
It's been filmed, and I'm quite sure that it was by some sort of a dashboard cam of this cop's car. This would have went viral. But I flew in front of that car that was in my way, slammed on the brakes, and was able to get onto that interstate. And I thought to myself, ha ha ha, catch me if you can, copper. But what the cop did was he also slammed on the brakes, and instead of getting right in front of the car, he went right behind the car, and he was able to get on that on-ramp right behind me. Cops are pretty good drivers. So with this cop right behind me on the on-ramp, getting onto the interstate, blue lights flashing, all inside of the car that I'm driving, cocaine in my pocket, gun in my waistband, and no license, I didn't know what to do. I took the gun out of my waistband and I handed it to the girl who...
Strike fucking one right there. Well, I mean, shit, he's already, let's be honest, he's way past strike fucking one. I mean, he's put multiple lives at risk. So he hands the fucking gun to his girlfriend, and then he immediately likes to make this excuse that he's like, oh, well, the gun was registered to her, though. So, you know, it's okay that I did that because it was really her gun.
Was in the car with me, my girlfriend at the time. And you're probably like, Joe, you piece of shit. Why did you give her the gun?
You are a piece of shit.
Be told, because the gun was hers.
That makes you an even, like, bigger piece of shit. You're rolling around with your girlfriend's gun, so if you actually do have to use it or something, like, that shit's gonna come back on her too, you stupid fuck. Not that you care, but...
It was literally registered in her name. We were in her car with her gun registered in her name. All I needed her to do was just put that gun underneath the seat, and that way, there might be a chance that I won't get charged for this gun. Also, in my pockets, there was like 2/8 of mushrooms.
Pretty odd that it took him fucking damn near 4 minutes into the story to fucking announce that. So let's get this straight. You've got multiple eighths of mushrooms in one pocket. You've got 7 grams of coke in another pocket, a gun in your waistband registered to your girlfriend, no license, and you're speeding in your girlfriend's car, fucking, again, putting multiple lives in danger, including officers. So now he's gonna fucking give the gun to this girlfriend of his, and then he's gonna go into this story about how he's gonna try to give the drugs to this girlfriend of his, and he's gonna try to convince her to fake a miscarriage so they'll take her off to the hospital where he can then attempt to try to get off scot-free from this fucking bullshit chase thing.
So I was taking these out of my pocket at the same time, handing these to the girl, taking the cocaine out of my pocket, handing this to the girl, just trying to get everything off of me because I am already in the worst possible position in this situation. A convicted felon already, driving a car with no license, with all sorts of stuff on me that I had no business having at all. Once I felt like I had done the most that I could, I then pulled the car over. And when I pulled over, I thought I had this master plan. Because a short time prior to this situation, I was in a similar situation. And what had happened was I was driving a car that I wasn't supposed to be driving.
He did this exact same shit before.
And I got pulled over, and I was able to give the cocaine to the girl who was riding with me, a different girl. And when the cops came up on the car, the entire plan just fell into place. I immediately threw my arms out the window and I said, hey officer, I'm not supposed to be driving this car at all. In fact, this girl sitting right next to me, she's having a miscarriage right now. I have to get her to the hospital. You have to call the ambulance right now. And as I'm saying this with my arms out the window, the girl immediately goes into full-fledged B-roll Hollywood mode. Oh my God, my stomach, you have to call the ambulance. The cop, not knowing what to do at this point, immediately jumps on the radio, calls for the ambulance.
I just have to say, I think it's really kind of fucked and like ironic, especially knowing what I know about your wife, that you would even fucking tell this story, or that you would ever even leave this shit up. Like the fact that it's still up on YouTube after everything your wife's gone through to finally have a baby by you is fucking psycho. It's fucking crazy to me that you would ever fucking leave this shit up.
And the ambulance comes, picks up the girl, takes the girl away, and I swear to you, the next thing that happened,
look at the look on his face.
Cop car.
He's fucking smiling
at this traffic stop. Came up to the window. I still had my arms out the window, and he said to me, he said, You don't have anything that you shouldn't have in this car, do you? Not now.
See? He loves it.
I'm kidding. I didn't say that at all.
Bullshit.
I just said, officer, I can promise you there is nothing in this car.
Isn't that funny, dude? I lied about someone having a dying kid. So funny, dude.
The cops actually never gave me a charge for driving on a suspended license, and they actually told me to continue to drive the car. In fact, take the car to the hospital, park it for the girl. That way she has her car there. Yes, sir, officer. See ya. Yeah. So with bringing up that instance right there, you can kind of see what I was trying to go for in this situation, though you can obviously tell that it didn't work out because I ended up serving 7 years in prison. After giving everything to the girl who was sitting right beside me, the cop came up to the car and I did the same thing again. I threw my arms out the window and I said, "Officer, I'm not supposed to be driving this car at all. But I'm telling you, this girl right here, she's having a miscarriage and I gotta get her to the hospital. Matter of fact, you need to call the ambulance right now." Thinking that this would work because it had already worked one time before.
And it did no.
It did not. In fact,
Fuck
the
you.
officer then did something that I didn't expect him to do. He immediately pulled his gun out, he aimed it right at me, and he said, "Put your fucking hands on the steering wheel now!"
What do you mean you didn't expect him to do it? You fucking threw your hands out the window fucking yelling. I would have done the same shit.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I guess he could see through the bullshit. Still with my hands on the steering wheel, I am pleading to this officer, "Sir, this girl is gonna die. She's gonna die. You need to call the ambulance right now." And he ended up calling the ambulance. He did. He called the ambulance. They took her out of the car. They put her on the stretcher. They loaded her up in the ambulance and they took her to the hospital.
Ambulance, Joe. Ambulance. You're saying ambulance. Ambulance.
And just like in the first situation, it's almost ironic, but again, another canine officer pulls up. Mind you, these two instances happened in two completely different cities. The canine officer pulls up and he immediately gets out with the dog. Now, mind you, my hands are still on the steering wheel because I've got this officer with his gun to me and my buddy is still in the back seat of the car. So the cop with the dogs,
Yada, yada, yada. Basically, the fucking dog comes around, it jumps up and shit, and it fucking alerts that there's drugs in the car. The cops fucking ultimately find the drugs on Joe. Joe tries to resist arrest. He tries to fight with the cops. Basically, the cops beat his ass. They take the drugs off of him. And, of course, he ends up in jail. Eventually, when he ends up in jail, this girl that had to fake the miscarriage and all that shit, she ended up actually testifying against him. And, of course, as I'm sure you've probably seen in the video, he blamed her. He still, and probably still does to this day. He fucking like blames the girl for a lot of the trouble that he got into, which is fucking odd, right? Because it's like, bro, you were fucking driving her car. You had her gun on you. You had fucking multiple types of drugs on you. You had fucking prior conviction. You had no license. You're fucking speeding. Like, and you're going to try to push all this shit on your fucking girlfriend, and then you're going to fucking wig out on her when she testifies against you because she doesn't want to fucking go down and have her life ruined by you. Fuck you, dude. Like, fuck you. I mean, I'm not a fan of, like, really snitching on anybody, but I can't honestly say that I blame this chick for fucking going in on you. Nah, I wouldn't have fucking taken the fall for your ass either. And obviously she fucking didn't. Bro, like, between this and then, you know, you also got to remember that whole thing about how he said the fucking coke was for fucking sale. That's some important shit. I think that's a big fucking overarching thing here that I want to kind of come back to. In this second video with the mushroom stories, this is basically a whole video where he talks about getting robbed by these three kids for $60. Joe was trying to buy weed and these kids fucking took $60 off of him and just left. They just never came back. So basically, I guess Joe ends up at some party a while later, and he runs into these 3 kids, and instead of doing something to get his money back, he like kind of tries to befriend them, and he realizes that they're just like scumbags that steal from people. They make up like they'll cut up like pieces of paper and sell them as tabs of acid. They would go to like a fucking they would like make like full like fake fucking, basically they would just like make like counterfeit drugs and try to sell them to rip people off. And Joe like openly admits that he thought this shit was cool. Just like take a listen.
With the mushrooms, I remember back when I was 18 years old, I would end up getting beat for like $60 worth of the devil's lettuce. I remember that quite vividly. These guys told me, "Hey, I can get you the greenery," and I said,
"Bro, look how fat he is."
I gave them the $60, and boom, they were gone.
But those fucking buttons are holding on for dear life, bro.
Party, and it was 3 of these guys, and it's only me. Joe has always been the lone wolf. I've really always been kind of alone.
You've never had any friends, is what you're telling me.
The other side of the pillow, but always alone.
In your own mind.
Don't really know why.
I don't know. Yeah, really? You don't know why?
I would run into these guys again at a party, like a little while later, and a couple of weeks later, something along those lines. And I would ask them, "Yo, where's my $60 at?" "Oh, well, we got robbed." I don't remember what the excuse was, but I pretty much just went for whatever excuse that they gave me.
Because you're a bitch and you weren't going to do shit about it. That's why. Because you're a bitch.
Because, again,
you're a bitch.
3 of them, 1 of me. What was I going to do? It was $60.
I'd have fucking done something.
For whatever reason, though, and this part I'll never understand, I really thought that these guys were just so cool.
Gets robbed and still thinks that they're really cool.
I would quickly realize that they were nothing more than con artists.
But you still think they're cool.
They were like con men. I mean, that was their trick, the backdoor scheme. Give me the money and I'll be right back. And I really thought that these guys were cool. Maybe it's because I had never been around nothing like that. I mean, this was nothing like that I was familiar with. And I really wanted to befriend these guys, which I would end up doing.
How the fuck does getting robbed and seeing people conning shit, people pulling a fucking con, make you want to fucking be their friends? That says a lot about your mentality, and it says a lot about your fucking character as a person. I think that says a lot about you as an individual.
From befriending all 3 of these guys, I would really only end up being really good friends with one of them, who would end up being my co-defendant when I first got locked up the very first time ever for a grand larceny charge, who I went through a lot of things with. And this was a person that I considered a friend for 7 years. And I picked up a lot of bad habits from not only this guy.
So it was this guy's fault.
Of people.
Yeah.
Not only
what a bad influence, man. He fucking ruined you. Man, poor you, man. What a victim.
They do the backdoor trick. They would take the little, oh God, I hate even talking about this.
But you're smiling.
They would take the little breath mint vials, and they would just put water and highlighter marker stuff inside the vial and call it LSD. I mean, they would literally cut up little squares of bubble gum and call it LSD. These dudes, they knew how to make money. And for a guy like myself who'd never been in this,
they knew how to make money. What they knew how to do was how to fucking rob people, you motherfucker. That's what you're doing. You're robbing people.
Always really wanted to make money, and always really wanted to make money the easy way. I quickly became...
What do you mean? That's what you still do to this day. You'll do anything to avoid getting a fucking real job.
Infatuated with this way of life. I'm not proud of this at all. To say that...
He says with a smile on his fat fucking face.
I was essentially a con artist.
Was? You fucking still are. Motherfucker. Look at you. Look how fat you are. Those fucking buttons are barely holding on. With this fucking retard tattoo that says never settle for less. Jesus, somebody should have told that to your fucking Burger King eating fucking fat bitch of a wife.
And a really, really good one at that. This is a part of my life that I absolutely loathe and despise,
and love to talk about fucking on YouTube and explain how to fucking con people so more fucking pieces of shit like you will do it.
I'm super embarrassed by this, but I'll be damned.
No, you're not.
If there weren't some crazy stories that...
You're not embarrassed by it. You fucking did it when you got out of jail. You did it. You continue to do it with Levi. It's proven. He had fucking receipts from it.
Came from this time. And this was, you know...
Which I'm going to show you that after this.
Multiple years of my life that I lived like this. Also, you know, knee deep dealing with addiction problems as well during all of this. You know, it would be nobody who would introduce me to the shroom hustle. And in fact, it would be me myself who would create it. Now, I'm not going to say I was the first person to ever do this, but I was the first person that I ever knew of who did this. And this thing was insane. I don't even know how I came across this. I just remember one day I was in an Asian grocery store and I found these dried out mushrooms that looked just like shrooms. Smelt like, looked like, taste like. And if you can cover all three of those things that I just mentioned right there, look, taste, smell, well, there's going to be people who think that they are real. When, lo and behold, all these things really were dried out shiitake mushrooms. That's all that they wore. When I found these things, I bought like every pack that I could. I think you could get, and I can't remember the exact number, I think you could get like, a pack was like, let's just say it was like 8 or 10.
I can't imagine why you never had any fucking friends, you asshole. You fucking like just ran around trying to rip off people.
From those 8 to 10 ounces, you could make a killing. You could make a killing. You could basically set the price and you know what it would be for the shrooms. Again, like I had mentioned,
a killing,
something that I did for many years of my life. Whenever the times were tough, hell, the times didn't even have to be tough. It was the shrooms that made the times not so tough.
Okay, think about what you just said. It was the shrooms that made the times not so tough. So what you're saying is, you had a hard time. You were having a rough time with your life. So what do? You go around and you fucking rob people and steal their fucking money from them to get ahead. That's what you're saying. You're not selling shrooms. You're fucking robbing people, you fucking prick.
And there are specific times that I can remember where I absolutely crushed it. And I'm going to share one of those times with you guys right now.
Fuck it. We don't even need to fucking listen to it. The point is, he admitted to the fact that he does this shit, and it's actually confirmed here in the video. Yanni did this video with Levi. To those of you who don't know, Levi was Joe's original cameraman and editor.
Got it.
All right, so what are we doing, folks? You already know what it is. I'm getting ready to share with you guys some stories, some shroom stories.
Another big red flag that I overlooked was there was a time that Joe had come to me and said, look, we're hard up on money and I have a way that I used to do that's pretty quick money and pretty easy. There's this Chinese grocery store right in, I believe, Portsmouth. Well, they sell these dried mushrooms and they look just like psilocybin mushrooms or magic mushrooms. Do you think you have like any friends that could potentially want any of these?
So Joe doesn't have any fucking friends to rip off anymore at this point. So what's he do? He goes to Levi and says, hey, Levi, I ain't got any fucking friends, so let's fuck over your friends. Help me fucking ruin your fucking life.
And you gotta remember, I was 20 years old, young, dumb, rolling around with an ex-convict, shooting a YouTube channel. I was like, well, fuck it, yeah, sure. I mean, if it's gonna be quick, fast money, let's do it. So we went and got the mushrooms, got a scale, scaled some stuff out. We met a couple of my friends in a bar up in Gloucester.
See, he's still got the fucking goddamn text messages. This was just from back in 2016, bro. That was like not even 10 years ago. So this is like Yeah. You see what I'm saying, though? And you're probably thinking, like, why am I fucking showing you guys all this? Well, ultimately, I have a theory that I don't think Joe was ever really an addict. I think that Joe has always just been a fucking user. I think he's addicted to fucking people over. I think he likes to have a hold on people. And I think he likes to fucking just squeeze fucking money and whatever he can out of people. He fucking, that's like the whole thing with the drugs and shit. He never used drugs. He sold drugs because he wanted to fucking have some kind of like control over people. He fucking likes to take people's fucking money. He likes to fucking just fuck people over and shit. And it's what he's all about. It's what he still does to this day. Look through his fucking his recent YouTube shit with Malaysia and fucking Richard and that fucking dude that hangs around with Jellicoe, the homeless fucker. It's like all these like people with, tell me about your misfortunes. I ain't got no more stories, so tell me about your misfortunes so I can fucking monetize it. Come on. I ain't got no fucking talent. That's what he does.
I believe we ended up selling him the shrooms. Well, the rest of I think the bag that we bought had like 3 ounces in it. We had this big bag of the rest of it that we ended up never selling, and I think it sat in my trunk for a long time.
Had you ever sold drugs before? Had you ever left anything,
No, at the time in my life, I don't think I had done anything harder than smoking a little bit of weed. This was a whole new world to me. I'd never even tripped on mushrooms at this point. So after me and Joe had shot about 15 videos or so, my son was still very...
Okay, anyway, I want to cut ahead here because another big reason why I do fucking not like Joe, and this is a big one to me personally. So I don't like how he fucking treated Yanni. Like, he treated Yanni like fucking garbage. And I think it's kind of rich that he would give Rabbit so many chances and Jellicoe so many chances. And, guys like that, I'm pretty sure even Big Dave got fucking more chances than Yanni did. And he just fucking kicked Yanni to the goddamn curb, like, so quickly, and was just like... so quick to fucking bash this dude and put like all this personal shit out there that had no business being out in the fucking public. Any chance that he got, he always did this shit with Yonnie. And let me just play it. You'll see for yourself.
In the past, and I'm doing this now. One would be, I saw what was happening to people whenever they talked about Joe in a negative way.
That soft ass Yanni fucking millennial man purse satchel fucking metrosexual bullshit?
Pretty goddamn rich coming from the fucking dumb fucker that went around flexing his fucking Gucci wallet. Remember that gay ass fucking Gucci wallet you went around flexing on Instagram, Joe? Because I fucking remember. The subreddit fucking remembers. That fucking like borderline like fucking homosexual looking shit. Yeah. That was not a fucking straight man's fucking wallet. I don't know what the fuck you're trying to roast Yanni for having a fucking... What, he had a fucking backpack and you're trying to roast him for it? Ooh. Oh, wow.
It's for the fucking birds. We don't goddamn fucking, we don't fucking enema our assholes over here. Yo, Volvo driving, ODing in a Barnes & Noble parking lot piece of shit.
Okay, now that right there, that's important. That shit fucking really pisses me off. That was the fucking final straw for me. To those who don't know, I've had my own history with drugs. I've seen a lot of people die. A lot of people have died, and I've seen it in front of my own fucking face. I've seen a lot of my friends die. I've almost died several times. And it's fucking horrible. Opioid addiction is absolutely fucking terrible. It is the worst thing that you can possibly go through. I would not wish it upon my worst enemy. It is literally the fucking worst thing on this planet. It is worse than living hell. It is fucking so much worse than living hell. I can't even describe it. It's literally indescribable hell. And to fucking make fun of a guy for that and parade it around on your fucking Twitch channel, you know, when you've got a million sub channel, 1 million plus people, and you're fucking parading this shit around, fucking laughing at a dude for almost dying, somebody that you were friends with at one point, like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I mean, especially from a guy who claims to understand addiction and to get addiction. Joe never fucking understood addiction because he's never had an addiction. All he's ever fucking done is make addicts. He creates the addicts. That's what he wanted to do. Either create addicts so he could take advantage of their addiction, or just sell them fake shit and just fuck them over outright.
Whether it was truth, whether it was false, that's not my place to say. But what I do know is anytime anybody spoke out about Joe, they were absolutely torched. The second reason was I watched videos like The Prison Professor, where he would do the most elaborate dances to not say my name that I've ever seen, and say things like,
how much money do you think did you have to have in capital?
I just gotta say, he looks like fucking Daniel Stern from the fucking Home Alone movies. In this like, why, what the fuck, man? Like, he really looked like shit during COVID. My God.
To start the After Prison Show?
Nothing.
well, no, not when you have someone else supporting you. So the third reason
Not when the mushrooms made times easy.
would be that I heard from multiple reliable sources that Joe had made nearly $200,000 in 2017.
I don't doubt that.
I also heard
I don't doubt that.
he was only paying Cody a few $100s a week. I
don't doubt that either.
For no 50-50 cut that I thought I'd come back. I can't take the work that Joe put into the channel when I left away from him. I can't. But I thought he could have at least given me a job. Let me hold a camera. Let me do a little editing.
I mean, honestly, would it really have hurt him? Probably not.
And throughout this time of looking into the After Prison Show, I've heard some statements that really caught my ear and made me realize maybe the violence and the aggression that Joe showed that day that I thought was isolated.
About this, and I just snapped. I threw the headphones at the wall. I didn't throw them at Cody.
You did throw them at Cody. Even Cody confirmed it. You do know that, right? You do know that Cody's been to our subreddit. You know that, right? Like, he's confirmed it. We've made jokes about it, and he's fucking popped in and laughed about it and shit. He's straight up confirmed it.
I threw the headphones at the wall, and I threw the chair down the stairs from the 3rd floor, like down the stairs. Fuck!
And if you don't believe me, go to the subreddit. Ask any of those guys. I'm sure some of the guys over there have the screenshots from it.
Was more spread out than I thought. He followed that up with,
He fucking snapped on Cody. You know,
You fucking did.
if y'all could see some of the fucking knockdown, goddamn drag-out wars that me and Rabbit have gotten in.
Rabbit? Rabbit's like a fucking borderline legal midget who's like, what, fucking 65?
We do men shit over here. Like, we get real fucking fights and shit.
Joe, you're like fucking 300 pounds and like, what, fucking over 6 foot tall. I mean, Rabbit's gotta be like, Rabbit's like maybe 5 foot tall, if even that.
I had to go back and look at the videos. I was like, maybe Rabbit's bigger than I thought.
No, he's not.
And I'm like, this is a 60-year-old.
Like, yeah, see? Like, look at that shit. You could see, like, just tell by him standing next to the fucking truck. He's like the size of a fucking, like a fucking 12-year-old boy.
5.5 foot man. Kind of reminds me of picking on a woman. You know, I heard about him hitting his editor at the time, with a pair of headphones, complete and utter, like, disgusting things he says about people he was trying to help.
ODing in a Barnes & Noble parking lot, piece of shit. Y'all probably never even knew what the Barnes & Noble parking lot background was for.
I'm actually surprised he didn't, like, fucking get in trouble with Twitch over that shit. Of course, you know, his little fucking gay fan base isn't gonna fucking, they don't care. They'll fucking let him say whatever. But, like, what a fucking piece of shit.
But then would act like a completely different person on YouTube.
Fuck yeah, dude. And Yanni said the same thing. Like, Joe will fucking sit there on YouTube and be like, oh, shucks, I'm just doing this to help people. I'm just trying to run After Prison Show. It's like, no, you don't fucking give a shit, bro. You're just trying to fucking run people down and fucking use their shit so you could fucking monetize it. Like, you don't give a fuck, dude. Who the fuck are you kidding? This guy's a fucking scumbag.
So in the same sense, I felt like I saw YouTube Joe. And then at the end of the day, I realized the real Joe is Twitch Joe.
100%.
Angry, bitter at the world,
100%.
and just willing to say whatever he can to hurt people and make them feel as small as he does.
I completely agree. And to be honest, like, I got to admit, when I watched this video when it first came out, I wasn't really sure on if I should believe Levi or not. But over time, as I've kind of picked up on a lot of this shit on my own and kind of like relayed back to a lot of this shit, I've kind of come to realize that he was probably honestly telling the truth about a lot of this shit.
I want to end this with a point. The Barnes & Noble parking lot, that's a real sore spot. I imagine it is. But
he just can't stop. He just can't help but fucking bring that shit up.
Do you want to say something about your kid that we'll throw in there? Like, I mean, what he has, just to explain, you know, didn't he get a liver transplant? Or-
I don't want to go into all that. That's a tough one. Yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and continue on. So finally, just to kind of show you the difference, you saw how he was acting on Twitch there, trying to taunt Yanni and basically like make fun of him for almost dying and like dealing with a fucking tragedy. Now, take a listen to how he reacted to this whole thing on YouTube.
that we go to quite often. I could have picked anywhere else to go. And all of what you're about to hear just makes me feel like either this was fate or some kind of eerily crazy coincidence, or maybe something even crazier like I was being stalked or followed.
You think Yanni was stalking you? You're a fucking dipshit. Like, what do you think he was doing? You think he was really following you around, fucking getting high, and like trying to fucking just follow you? Motherfucker, he didn't give a fuck about you. He was fucking getting high. It is what it is. The guy was dealing with an addiction at the time. Like, you just didn't give a fuck enough about your friend to even fucking figure it out.
We ate dinner at Buffalo Wild Wings. We are done with dinner. We're going back out to the car. We're ready to go home. I first need to stop at Target, get cat food for Aggie. That was the last stop that we needed to make. But as I'm walking out of Buffalo Wild Wings, walking to the car, smoking a cigarette, talking on the phone with my brother who was supposed to come out on the boat with us, I'm telling him all about what this day on the water was like. While on the phone with my brother standing outside of the car smoking this cigarette, I begin to see and hear ambulances and fire trucks going past me. At this point, I am paying absolutely zero attention to what is going on. You see ambulances
as
and fire
opposed to
trucks
usual
all the time. I get in the car, still on the phone with my brother. We go through the parking lot, getting ready to go to Target, when we see the ambulances and fire trucks right there in the same parking lot, except they're at a different store. My fiance says, hey, let's ride over there and see what all the commotion's about. As we...
What a cunt, by the way. Like, what a cunt. Can you imagine that shit? You see like a fucking tragedy going down a couple stores down. My reaction is that, hey, let's go over there and fucking and take a look. It might be fun. Tee. Fucking, what a Burger King eating bitch.
Do so.
I got a few things to say about that bitch at the end of this video.
As we get closer to what's going on, she then says to me, "Oh my God, Joe, that looks like Yanni's car." I see what looks like Yanni's car and I don't even believe it. That's not Yanni's car. That's got to be somebody else who's got a car that looks just like his. She parks in the parking lot right there. I get out of the car. Of course she did. And I walk up the aisle trying to see what all of the commotion's about. That is right there around what looks like is Yanni's car. I can't see anyone other than a bunch of police, paramedics, and firefighters standing around this vehicle. I then come right back up the aisle right where that car is at. And all I can see are a man's legs laying right there beside that car between a bunch of police, paramedic, and firefighters. As I get closer to the scene, two police officers come.
I have to point this out. Why do you think he's recording this?
Up to me, tell me I can't be over here, and I say to these guys as they're trying to escort me back, "Oh my God, I think I know who that is. That is Yanni Cristo." As soon as I say that name, these guys pull me to the side, and the first thing they ask me is, "What kind of drugs does Yanni do?" As soon as they said that to me, they followed up saying, "We're not even worried about this from the criminal aspect." I responded to these guys saying, "This guy has suffered from a long history of battling addiction." But I also told them I don't know what kind of drugs Yanni does, because honestly, if he does do drugs...
What do you mean you don't know? You made him fucking openly admit to the fucking relapse with Big Dave on the channel. You made him do it. The fucking video's up there. It's one of the most fucked up videos you ever did. A bunch of personal shit that had no business being out there in the public that should have been handled privately. You fucking forced this guy to reveal publicly.
I don't know what he's doing. These cops took my name.
You couldn't fucking tell them what was up so they could treat him? The reason they're asking you is because they need to find out how to treat him so they could, you know, keep him alive. They're trying to figure out if they need to hit him with Narcan or like what the fuck's going on. They don't know. Is he on benzos? Is he passed out on a bunch of fucking Xanax? They don't fucking know. So they're trying to figure it out.
Down, took my phone number down, thanked me for that information that I was able to give them, which was hardly anything. And as I walked back to the car, I was able to see them pick Yanni up off of the ground, put him inside of an ambulance, and then we left.
Ambulance.
And we went to Target.
Like, that's so crazy.
Look at this shit. Like, they fucking recorded this. Now, why do you think they recorded this?
That is Yanni right over there, laid out. I walked up on that because I saw his car, and the cops immediately came up to me saying, you know, you can't be over here. I said, I think I know this guy. I think it's Yanni Cristo. And it looks like this dude OD'd in the car.
They think that, they don't know for sure.
I asked them what the situation was when I walked up there, and they wouldn't tell me that. They said they couldn't disclose that information, but they were asking me about what kind of drugs he uses and things like that. They said, you know, they're not even worried about it from the criminal side.
But you made sure to record this shit anyway. And I say you fucking recorded this shit because you wanted to try to make content out of it. You don't give a fuck that your friend is over there potentially dying. You don't give a fuck enough. Like, if I fucking saw one of my friends over there dying, and one of my fucking buddies whips out a fucking phone and starts recording, I'd fucking lose my shit. I'd fucking lose my mind. Like, what a disrespectful fucking piece of shit.
Unbelievable. What happened? I don't know. That is unbelievable. When we came out of Target after I got the cat food, I wanted to ride back past there to see what was going on, if anything was still going on. And
so you still went to fucking Target after that? Like, for fuck's sake, Joe, you couldn't go to the hospital? You couldn't go with him to the fucking hospital? I'd have fucking told Rainey to go on home, and I would have tried to ride with him to the hospital. I would have. Because, I mean, okay, so you had to fucking fight. So the fuck what? At the end of the day, that dude was your friend at one point, right? I mean, you're really cool with just letting him potentially almost die and then just let that be that? Like, you can live with yourself and be that way? Because I fucking couldn't. Ain't no fucking way.
When we did so, police were tearing his car apart. I knew from the moment that I walked up on that scene and I saw Yanni laying there on the ground and those two police officers came up to me saying, "Hey, what kind of drugs does this guy do?" I knew something seriously messed up had just happened.
But I decided I wasn't going to say nothing because I didn't want to try to fucking help Yanni fucking kick out of his OD. I didn't want to help the medical professionals fucking potentially treat him with Narcan or anything like that. I wanted to whip out my fucking phone and record this shit so I can make content out of it for my fucking retard YouTube channel.
To be completely honest with you, I was literally on the verge of tears because I felt...
Fuck you. You weren't on fucking the verge of tears. We saw you in the video. You didn't give a fuck. If you gave a fuck, you'd be in the ambulance riding with him. You'd have fucking went to the hospital. You don't give a fuck. Fuck you.
Like, is this guy dead right here where I was just eating dinner right around the corner at Buffalo Wild Wings? How in the fuck is this guy right here, right where I was at? Why was I anywhere near where this was taking place at? Was this fate? Was this some kind of crazy fucking coincidence? Or was this something more? Was I being followed or stalked?
Maybe you're God's chosen one, just like fucking Malaysia.
Or was it just some sort of happenstance that fate would put us in the same place at the same exact time? And you know, I know some people may think that, oh, Joe might have had something to do with that. Joe called the police on Yanni. Joe got Yanni locked up. Well, let me just tell you something. Whatever happened to Yanni inside of that car, inside of that parking lot, had it been me who walked up and seen whatever was going on, because I can guarantee you, whoever did probably saw something very crazy that made them feel like the only thing they could do was call the paramedics. Did they walk up on the car and...
Dog, there's been a fucking opioid epidemic for years and years and years now. I mean, this shit's been going on. Everybody fucking knew what the deal was. You're just a retard.
See this guy knotted out with a needle in his arm, maybe even on the verge of ODing, knocked on the window.
What do you mean on the verge of ODing? He was on the verge of ODing. He OD'd, you fucker.
No response. I have no...
This is how I know this motherfucker has absolutely no experience with real drugs or any real addiction.
Idea. Did somebody walk to their car and see this guy just laying out, stretched out right there on the ground?
I mean, we're talking about a guy who gave 3 dudes $60 for weed and then just let them fucking leave. And he was shocked that they never came back. Does that sound like a guy that has any real experience doing any sort of fucking drugs? He sounds like a fucking fat-ass retard to me, but whatever.
I don't know. But had it been me who walked up on that situation in either of those two examples, you best believe I'd have called those paramedics my goddamn self. Because some situations, you better do just that. Some situations are life and death. And I truly feel, after seeing Yanni's mugshot, because he is now locked up.
He had to make sure to throw that in there, by the way. See, that was one of the craziest things about classic fucking chin strap Joe. The fucking, the Joe that tried to act like he was fucking holier than thou.
That this situation most certainly was just that. No matter how messed up the situation got between me and this dude, this is something that I would not wish on my worst enemy. And the sad thing to admit here is in some regards, Yanni had become just that. The fact
Really, bro? Your worst enemy? To this day, you still fucking treat him like he's a fucking cartoon villain. You literally act like he's the fucking Joker. I'm pretty sure that... Didn't you say that he was responsible for the subreddit? I'm pretty sure that you accused him of being the one behind the fucking subreddit. You probably think he's the one behind me fucking doing this shit. Nah, dude. He's fucking off living his own life. He's happy. He's got a fucking chick. He's off doing his own thing. He doesn't give a flying fuck about what you've got going on.
The matter is this. Something happened to Yanni on Saturday night. I happen
No
to
shit.
be there. Why me of anybody of all people?
Why me? Why me? Yeah, it sucks that Yanni had to almost die, but man, I went through a much harder time, guys.
Happened to see this, saw it. I saw the police presence, the paramedics, the firefighters, and they
And what did you do? Absolutely fucking nothing. You didn't even go to the fucking hospital. You didn't do shit.
were probably attempting to use Narcan on this dude. I mean, I don't even know. But whatever was going on with this dude, it was not good. Yanni has since been arrested. He now has a dope charge and a paraphernalia charge, a misdemeanor and a felony. And if he's found guilty of these two charges, he most certainly will have a probation violation as well. And he's most certainly looking to be going back to prison.
Which never happened, by the way. So much for that.
It is a very unfortunate and messed up situation that, again, I would not wish on my worst damn enemy.
Really? Then why did you record this shit? Because you yourself admit here in just a few minutes that you tried to go to his arraignment, and I guarantee you brought cameras and fucking microphones and Cody and all that fucking bullshit to that too, because you were gonna make content out of it. I know you were. I know you fucking were.
But these are the facts. This is what I happened to roll up on Saturday night. I have video of this. I have Yanni's mugshot.
See what I'm saying? I got video of it. I got Yanni's mugshot. It's almost like he's like low key making threats in case Yanni sees this. Like, hey Yanni, I got your mugshot. I got video footage. I know at one point he actually did threaten to put Yanni's mugshot on t-shirts and sell it. He actually did say he was going to do it. Thankfully, he never did.
I have Yanni's charges. On Tuesday morning, I was at his arraignment trying to see.
What a creep. Like, what a fucking creep. You went to the guy's fucking court case. You didn't go to the hospital to make sure he was still alive. But you made sure to go to the fucking courthouse to fucking try to kick him while he's down and maybe get some fucking extra content. Fuck you, dude. Like, man, if I was Yanni, I'd never fucking speak to you again. Ever. Under any circumstance. Ever.
What state of mind this guy was actually in. But I couldn't get in to see that.
He wasn't in a state of mind, dude. He was gone. He was half dead.
The courts had not opened up at 8:30 in the morning when his arraignment was. And with all of this extra stuff that
So that would have mean you got up like fucking super early. Imagine getting up that fucking early just to go to your alleged worst enemy's fucking court case. Just to fucking like try to dunk on him. Like, really? Because I know that's what you were trying to do. You were trying to fucking big dog his ass. And it fucking, you're fucking upset because that's what you didn't get to do that day.
I'm not going to put it out there for nobody.
Bullshit.
Because that's not what this is about. This isn't about the drama. This isn't about the beat.
It's not about the drama, but it's always been about the drama, Joe. You've had fallouts with Danny. You've had fallouts with Yanni. You've had fallouts with Jellicoe multiple times. You've had fallouts with Rabbit multiple times. You've had fallouts with Jaren. You've had fallouts with anybody and everybody that's ever worked for your channel at some point or another. You've got videos of your former friends that you've known since childhood, going around fucked on heroin and shit. That girl who died, you had no problem going around filming that shit all fucking day. You have no problem going around filming people talking about their misfortunes, their dying babies, their fucking homelessness and all that shit. You don't give a fuck to try to milk that shit for money. You don't really give a fuck about anybody's misfortune. You don't really give a fuck about anybody's shit other than you making money. You and the fucking Burger King bitch. You don't give a fuck about nothing other than the fucking dollar bills. And all you're trying to do is fuck people over. That's why I don't fucking like you. When I stop and I think back to all this shit and I really fucking piece it together, it's obvious to me that you're a fucking piece of shit. You've never been a good person. You've always been a fuckwad. And that's why it makes it so much more fucking satisfying now to see you finally complete your fucking full transition to lolcow. Because that's where you are now. You're a fucking lolcow. Your Wings of Redemption, your Dark Side Phil, your fucking Boogie 2988, your fucking Christian. You're a fucking loser, Joe. You're a fucking piece of shit. And when it's all said and done, I'm gonna have that Burger King eating bitch naked on a table dancing for onion rings.